Test, test, test. 1, 2. Test, 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 test.
Hey guys, good morning. Let me make sure, let me know if you can see me properly. No notifications, so if you could help me out with that, please, with the like button. Let me just check a couple things here, give time for people to join. Good morning. I'm multi-streaming, so I also want to make sure that's working properly. Okay, you guys do something live button. I think that's okay. 1080, okay. You got notified, really? I didn't think I had notifications. Where are you getting notified from? Let me see. Oh, I did get a notification. What in the heck is going on? When I thought I had everything figured out, I guess I don't. Okay. Well, notification gang, welcome. So there's a couple of interesting things that I want to show you. I'm gonna wait a while though. Kind of hang out with you guys. There's some bits of information and then some information from pilots that I thought were really interesting. Let me mute that. This is Chopper feed from like 20 minutes ago. This is the devastation. This is, remember the Dunkin' Donuts that the lady talked about? Like the chopper, not the chopper, the plane literally like flew right over the Dunkin' Donuts. I think this is where the guy was in the drive-thru. This thing looks to me like apocalyptic. It looks like some type of end of the world. If you notice the picture in my thumbnail too, I took this from one of the live streams this morning from the news channels. Look at this. This looks like some Walking Dead, you know, the show, or any kind of post-apocalyptic movie. It's just crazy to see what the damage that this plane has caused. Mel, have you seen X? I have checked it out this morning, but I'm not sure if you want me to see something in particular. I have kind of browsed it this morning a bit. Checking for updates and stuff, you know. Sticks. What's up? What'd you send me here? Oh yeah, I heard about autonomous Black Hawk helicopter. It can be flown remotely. I've heard of that.
Your eyes are not playing tricks on you.
That's crazy.
There's no pilot inside this helicopter.
Wow.
Let's face it, we're used to seeing all types of vehicles operate themselves. From cars to boats, drones, even motorcycles. But some people might say there's something a little ominous about seeing a military-grade helicopter flying without a pilot. This is part of a project from Lockheed Martin's subsidiary, Sikorsky, and DARPA. Now, if you're not familiar with
sound like Lost. DARPA from Lost.
DARPA, it's a research and development agency for the U.S.
That is, isn't that the same thing? What they call it in Lost? DARPA?
Department of Defense. And according to DARPA, this marked the first time a Black Hawk helicopter flew without anyone on board.
Okay, so that's interesting. Yeah, I did hear about that. Lisa says in the chat, good morning, everybody. Welcome. Lisa in the chat says, did you hear the radio TMZ posted? It sounds like the pilot said you're effing with the wrong one. Kaboom. Yeah, I talked about that. Yes, I talked about the kaboom last night. But then after I got off and I was browsing X, I did see that too. And it does sound like that. We're going to talk about that because that got community noted. And they're saying that's not what it is. But, you know, when listening with headphones, that's exactly what I heard. You're effing with the wrong one. So weird. And they're supposed to be doing a press conference soon. I don't know when. They've been lined up outside for a while. Let me show you the screen. We're going to get to a couple of things this morning. Let's see here. There we go. Oh, that's weird. That's not the right thing. So they're getting up, set up for a press conference. This is live right there. They're doing audio checks. So we'll see what they have to say. I guess I'll start getting to some of the things. How far are we into this? 5 minutes? Some of the things I wanted to cover. There was this really interesting pilot video too that I saw, where he was talking about the plane actually was going in, like, flying in the wrong direction. Like, they weren't responding to what they were being told. The flight path they were supposed to fly, they didn't for some reason. It's really, really weird. It's a really good video. I watched like half of it. So I'm gonna wait for some people to join to play that video. But in the meantime, let me just go over some of the things that I have. Okay. And this was from last night, but this was kind of interesting too. That this kid, his dad was there after this destruction happened, and the kid's like, "Daddy, let's just go, let's just go." But I guess the dad's more concerned about recording.
Come on, the car. Come on, go get sit in the car. Okay, come on. We cannot get out.
If it was me and my kid up there, I would have just hauled ass just to get to safety, get out of there. And look at this guy. This is something else that I found this morning. Chris O'Connell, he's with Fox 29. He's a really good person to follow on Twitter. I think he has really concrete news. And he was one of the people last night that was saying it was 6 people, I believe, on the aircraft, when the FAA said it was 2. And the FAA had to correct that. So this guy here describes that he doesn't record. He just helps. He's not interested in recording.
And I've got 2 small children. I was absolutely scared. But I'm like, I need to find someone I can help. Because I cannot stand by and watch people just record. I can't do that. I don't record. I help. I don't care about social media. I help so that I can save lives.
What did you do to help?
I gave the shirt off my back to help a young child with a head laceration. A piece actually went through a red pickup's window, hit the kid, and the parents were shouting, "Help us, help us, help us." No one was around to help at the time. The cops are just approaching. I took the shirt off my back, gave it to them, said, "Push this on his head, keep pressure." I ran back to my car. I got rags. I got anything I could find to, like, absorb blood, push on cuts. My mom worked at a doctor's office. She was there. She was helping me. She's disabled. She doesn't walk fast. She was walking fast.
So he said he doesn't record. You know, he helps. He gets involved. Yes, Shady J. They were all Mexican nationals. I have that up in one of my tabs too. We're gonna get to that. Well, here it is actually. Yeah, so Mexican Foreign Ministry, 6 Mexicans were on board the Philadelphia plane crash. The Mexican consulate in Philadelphia confirmed that 6 Mexican nationals were aboard the plane that crashed. Officials were in contact with the family. Families providing consular support and assistance while monitoring for additional affected individuals. So this is kind of like a weird, interesting thing. And so the hospital too made a comment. Shriners Children's confirms patient mother aboard crashed air ambulance. The hospital confirmed that the pediatric patient and her mother were aboard the jet rescue air ambulance that crashed in Philadelphia. The child had been receiving care in Philadelphia and was being transported home to Mexico when the crash occurred. The hospital expressed condolences for the medical crew and pilots who lost their lives, as well as those impacted on the ground. Thanked first responders for their efforts. So this is just in itself sad and crazy. I really want to know what the hell happened and how that plane came down so fast that it looked like a missile. Doesn't make sense. Did something happen in the air? Because it almost looked like it was burning when it came down. Did something happen in the air? Did some type of the structure break apart? Was there an explosion in the plane? Did something happen with the pilots? 6 people, this was last night, 6 people were transported to Temple University Hospital, Gene's campus, in relation to the jet crash in Philadelphia. Jet fuel and debris ignited fires in 3 homes, spreading to additional 3 homes, partially collapsing one, but all occupants escaped. So we know there's at least 6 people that were transferred to the hospital. And I feel there's some people that might have been killed on the ground. I don't know. Hopefully this morning's press conference, which is one on the right-hand side here, we're waiting for them to start. Hopefully they give us some type of concrete details, because last night they couldn't tell us the amount of fatalities or even any kind of approximation. Now, this is approximate flight path after takeoff. And we're going to talk about this in a little bit, because I'm going to play you an interesting video that I found this morning. The flight path, according to this one pilot that covered this, it wasn't supposed to be like this. It wasn't supposed to be, you see how it starts up to the top right here from the landing strip, and the plane goes up and it flies. According to this one pilot that I saw, he said the plane was supposed to turn and go in this direction, but instead the plane kept going straight. I wonder if they had some type of problems on board. It kept going straight until it reached the point where it crashed. So we're going to get to that in a second. And they released the name, apparently. Okay, the patient on board the plane, which crashed in Philadelphia, was a 12-year-old girl from Mexico, according to the local journalist Jamie Apodi. The girl had received treatment for a serious illness with the help of a charity, which was on her way when the plane crashed. Jenna Balby says, I wonder if they hit a bird that caused an issue. I wonder too. I mean, the thing is, when these planes, when a bird hits one of the engines, it should still be able to be in control. I guess as long as the pilots do the right stuff, the right things, they should still be able to be in control and enough to turn around and land the plane back. And usually they're supposed to communicate that. Have to come back, engine down, whatever, you know. But what was that plane that we saw recently that crashed? There was a plane that we saw, I think it was overseas. And remember the video that shows the plane? There was somebody that captured the video of the plane flying, and it looked like something hit the engine. And then that plane crashed. I forgot what plane that was. We covered that recently. Looked like a bird hit. Hijacked. What charity? That's a good question. I don't know yet. All I keep hearing is third-party charity. I don't know the specific name of the charity. So if I see it, I'll definitely let you guys know. And again, 6 Mexican nationals. The plane's origins is Mexico, and they were gonna go to Springfield after Philadelphia, and then Mexico. Mexico was the next path. And so obviously they didn't make it to Mexico. Here's I saw this video. I think I saw this last night, and I was kind of like, oh Lord, but I'm gonna play it anyway, because some of the people, she believes that 911 is prophetic. It's people believe it's a conspiracy. People believe the 2 flights are connected. I've seen people pointing out that the 2 crashes, the DC crash and the Philly crash, they're like 130 something miles apart. So some people think there's a connection.
Hello, everyone. Amanda Grace here from Ark of Grace Ministries. So it's 8:45 p.m. on the East Coast right now, and I'm urgently putting this out. A medical plane.
Oh, was it Shriners? Oh, okay, the hospital is the one that was the charity? Okay, well, that makes sense, if it was.
Has gone down in Philadelphia at the Roosevelt Mall, or near the Roosevelt Mall. And this has happened a day and a half after what happened with American Airlines. I'm going to urgently put some things together for you prophetically to keep watch of. So, on January 29th, 2025, which is 2 plus 9 is 11, and 2 plus 2 plus 5 is 9, 9/11.
Oh, that's it. Hit it again.
2 plus 9 is January 29th, 2025.
January 29th, 2025, okay.
Which is 2 plus 9 is 11, and 2 plus 2 plus 5 is 9, 9/11. American Airlines, a plane known as an American Eagle, crashed when it collided with a Black Hawk helicopter coming into Reagan International Airport. Now, that plane came from Kansas, heading to Reagan, okay, which is Washington, D.C. Now, January 31st, 2025, a day and a half later, the one for January and the one from the 31, and then 2 plus 2 plus 5 equals 9. You have 9/11 again in the date. A plane goes down. a medical plane in Philadelphia, home of the Eagles, who are in the Super Bowl against the Kansas City Chiefs. And the date of the Super Bowl is 2/9/2025. 2 plus 9 is 11. 2 plus 2 plus 5 equals 9. You have 9/11 again. The plane goes down on the Roosevelt Mall. So you have Reagan and you have Roosevelt. Now, not only, I believe, has Donald Trump been compared to Roosevelt, talking about his face being next to Roosevelt on Mount Rushmore, but Roosevelt and Reagan, I believe, are two of Donald Trump's favorite presidents. Also, this was an EMS plane. This was an emergency medical service plane that a Mexican company owns. And eyewitnesses are saying that this plane came down like a missile.
And some people believe it's a missile. Okay, I don't believe it's a missile at all because we saw the wreckage. I don't believe a missile was shot and came down into the neighborhood. We saw the wreckage. We saw the parts of the plane. We saw the air rescue tank. Now, something that I have seen people talking about, and I just saw somebody mention this on Facebook, that they thought maybe the oxygen tank blew up. I wonder if that's possible. Is that possible? The oxygen tank blew up? Something blew up on the plane, maybe?
All of this is connected. You have, within 2 days of each other, 2 plane crashes. One at Reagan, one at Roosevelt. One coming from Kansas, the flight, and this plane crashed in Philadelphia. The Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles are in the Super Bowl, which the date 2/9/2025, when you add it together, happens to equal 9/11 again. I do not think this is a coincidence. There is something very sinister going on here. And we need to be watchmen right now, and we need to pray because this is all connected. I believe I had a word about something to do with the EMS as well that was recently released that we'll probably be talking about over the weekend or on Monday. I would also watch Mount Rushmore as well. So be watchmen right now. Pray. Keep the faith.
So there's the conspiracy angle, I guess, with numerology mixed in it, I guess. And Super Bowl's in New Orleans. NO is on the list of 17 cities to watch. Kansas City Chiefs are actually in Missouri. The only thing with that, the plane was actually supposed to go to Springfield, Missouri. It's the only thing. Kansas City, Missouri. Yeah. I don't get too much into this stuff, but I know there's a lot of people that do. I figured I'd play that for them. This video, well, I was gonna say went viral, kind of, somewhat. It's 150K views. Thought I had more than that. Amanda Grace. Oh, this is the audio too that people in the chat were talking about. So this was kind of weird. Oh, Peter, what's up, man? How you doing? Hope you're doing good, man. Taking care. He says, thank you for the 10 cents. I'm starting to GoFundMe to get this lady the proper psychiatric treatment she desperately needs. I can prep too. Thank you for 5. Good morning. Says, it says almost if you try hard enough, you can make connections. Yeah, you can. You can connect anything and everything. So this is some of the stuff that's been popping up online, right? And so, and somebody mentioned this in the chat, and I saw this after I got off stream. The ATC traffic, ground traffic to be specific, or tower, it says you could hear someone say effing with the wrong people at 57 seconds. So let me just play that for you. Let me bump up the volume a little bit too. Make sure you guys can hear it clearly. Little bump. Okay.
My Tango Sierra 056 Northeast Tower. How do you hear this transmission?
Medevac Med Service 056 Northeast Tower.
I'll play it I'll put it even louder. Put a little bit louder. Pretty low. It sounds just like that to me. F around with the wrong people, but So weird. So it gets community noted, and it says the faint audio referenced is an aircraft on the ground frequency requesting IFR clearance. The controller even acknowledged the request, but asks for a moment as he is busy. The NATO phonetics used in this request are being misheard. I don't know. So I guess the community note, they're stating that this is somebody else requesting ground clearance. Play it again. I don't know. Maybe that's the guy on the ground or somebody saying F down with the wrong people. It's just so weird. It's just so weird to hear. You know? Yeah. Still waiting on the press conference. Let me see. Did they cite something here? What they click? No, he says 56098 Foxtrot to runway 24, which makes sense why the air traffic control responds with 56098 Foxtrot. And then somebody, it's just, this has been going back and forth since yesterday. You can clearly hear someone saying they're effing with the wrong people. Then he says use common sense. Why would a controller have responded the way he did if he was suggesting that? So I don't know. This is the conversations that happened yesterday and is still going this morning. I'll play it one more time.
Tower, how do you hear this train?
056 Northeast Tower.
Fifty-six 0908 Foxtrot Northeast Ground, Roger. Standby 1.
Maybe he's right. Maybe he's right. Maybe this person talking has like a heavy ass accent, and when they're talking, they're saying Foxtrot, blah blah blah. But what we're hearing in English, it says F around with the wrong people. Yeah, F around with the wrong people. I guess they're saying he's really saying Foxtrot. That shit could kill somebody. If that's how he talks, if that's how he communicates, they might have to help him out, take some classes or something. That shit could kill somebody. If that's how he communicates and it sounds like he's saying something completely different. All right, so moving on from that, we'll leave that alone. All right, so I want to play this video that was really amazing. Let me see how we're going to do this. I think, what happened to the press conference? Switch up. Still waiting on the press conference, but I want to play this really good video, this pilot. So this guy's name is, hold on, let me plug him too. So this is Meet Kevin. I just subscribed to him this morning. I'm going to put his link in the description. He has 2 million subs. Meet Kevin on YouTube. Plug him in.
A devastating accident just occurred in Philadelphia where a flight was destined to pick up a young girl under 18 years old who just received life-saving treatment in Philadelphia. Unfortunately, as her plane went to take off to take her back to her home in Tijuana, Mexico, the plane crashed. In this video, and just a few hours after the accident, we're going to try to piece together how it's possible that a Learjet 55...
Same action as the kaboom guy, right? Because that was the other thing that happened. Jam Cracker, thank you for the 5. Yeah, somebody said kaboom! Maybe he said something else.
Was able to crash out of the sky almost like a missile and kill everyone on board and potentially even some on the ground. This is a devastating occurrence. It is terrible to see this event happen, and I feel so terrible for everybody who's lost loved ones involved. I want to say, I'm Meet Kevin. I'm a pilot While I'm a newer pilot, I want to be clear, my goal every single day is to learn from any incident that occurs and share my experiences in my pilot journey. You can see more on my channel about that, but for now, we've got to look at ATC communications and what trajectory this plane was supposed to be on and what may have actually happened. Because what the plane was told to do is not what the plane did, or should I say, the pilots. So let's try to piece together what happened here. What I'd like to do first is start with the air traffic control instructions, and then I'm going to compare those instructions to what actually happened. Take a look here. This is the air traffic control communication recording. Now, it sounds like you only get the tower frequency here, so you're not actually going to hear the pilots until they switch to the tower frequency. I'll explain that in a moment, but let's start with what the initial instructions were and then look at what they actually did.
Medevac, mid-service 056, on departure, turn right heading 290, runway 24, clear for takeoff.
So that's important. Head right, take 290, and this pilot points out something really, really interesting.
Wind 25010.
First things first, the winds are 250 at 10 knots. This means they have almost a perfect headwind, and for a Learjet, 10 knots of winds at a 10-degree offset is essentially a non-issue. There was no mention of gusting winds, so I don't think winds were an issue here. It's a rainy night, this is nighttime, with low cloud coverage, and I think that may end up making a factor here, or playing a factor here. Now keep in mind, they were just cleared for takeoff from runway 24, and they were instructed on takeoff after they've reached the end of the runway. Typically, this is when the FAA expects you to initiate your turn. They were asked to turn right, heading 290. Is that what the plane did? Well, you're going to see. First, this is ForeFlight, and it'll show you an overview of runway 24. Here is runway 24 at the Northeast Philadelphia Airport. If we draw an extending ruler from the center line of the runway, you can see it lines up perfectly with 240 degrees. Now, why does that matter? Because if I extend straight down the runway heading and I hold that 240, look at where this ruler intersects the freeway. It intersects right about where these trees are at a straight heading. Notice this right here, in this area where the bend is of the freeway and approximately where those trees sit. This will be very important, so keep this in mind. But first, I want you to see what a 290 heading actually looks like.
So what he's saying, and he's going to show in a minute, he's telling you the path that the plane took to this is the runway right here. They were on this runway. He's going to show in a minute, like the plane takes off, flies, and instead of, once they took off, making the turn, I think he said 290 or 29 something. Instead of making, once they took off, a turn and heading in this direction to fly off, instead they went straight. They didn't take the instructions that they were supposed to take.
290 off of takeoff would have looked something like this. This heading is set for 290. So if you took off, we'll go ahead and use a different color here just so we could see this potentially a little bit more clearly. We'll go with a green thicker line here. If you made it to the end of the runway, you would have been expected to start your turn at the end of the runway in a heading of 290. But that's not what happened here. Remember, if they ended up going straight, you would expect that the plane would intersect right about here where this green circle is, right? Let's go ahead and take a look at the publicly available tracking data for tail number X-ray Alpha Uniform Charlie India. Keep in mind, when a tail number starts with November, it's usually a US registration, and when it starts with X-ray Alpha, it's generally a Mexican registration, which this indeed was. In fact, all the passengers on board of the sponsored flight with a medical transport company were sponsored. Now, in other words, the life-saving treatment was sponsored, so this was sort of like a Make-A-Wish or a charity, right? The FAA has also confirmed that 6 people were on board. A mother, the daughter who received the treatment.
Yeah, we skip this a little bit.
in Philadelphia. But let's take a look at that publicly available flight data. So what do we have on flight data here? Well, you can see here is the runway where my mouse is. And when we extend from this runway, what do you notice?
The trees.
The plane is right there where the trees are at the bend in the highway. And it's actually on a track of 240 degrees. Now, this doesn't tell us the direction of the nose at the time, but it does tell us that the plane itself was moving at a direction of about 240 degrees, which is roughly runway heading. It means they have not started their right turn yet, and they're already at 1,300 feet. Now, at this point, you could see that the aircraft has climbed about 1,200 feet. We know this because the airport elevation here on ForeFlight is listed at 120 feet. So, after climbing about 1,200 feet, the plane has still not even to about 5 degrees started its turn. Now that's odd. And given that in the air traffic controller comms, we hear an air traffic controller say turn right heading 290, and then affirm turn right heading 290, and it's the controller saying it twice, it makes me wonder, are the pilots distracted in the cockpit? Now, it doesn't sound like there's a lot of stress when we go through more of the data. So let's go ahead and play the rest of what we have here.
So that's really, really weird. That's the first time I heard of that. And somebody that kind of pointed it out, that the plane wasn't going 290. They were supposed to turn off and they did it. So I like he said, I just wonder what was going on inside of the plane. Were they having troubles? Something going on with the pilots? Something going on with the plane? Were they distracted, like he said? Why didn't they make the turn they were supposed to make?
Which is an edited together version of what the tower frequency hears. I'll play it again from the beginning, and I'll interrupt just to say when I think there are pieces cut out.
Medevac, mid-service 056, on departure, turn right heading 290, runway 24, clear for takeoff, wind 25010.
Initial?
Medevac, mid-service 056, affirmative. On departure, turn right heading 290, runway 24, clear for takeoff.
Now you might wonder, why didn't you hear the pilots there? Well, in my opinion, you didn't hear the pilots because they were likely transmitting on the ground frequency, and I believe that this recording is only of the tower frequency, not also of ground. So you could hear tower talking to both sides, but you can't hear what they're saying on ground, so we don't get their voices until they're actually airborne and they're asked to switch from the tower frequency to the departure frequency, which we'll hear in just a moment.
Medevac, med-service 056, contact Philly departure 123.8.
123.8, Mike Tango Sierra 056 Medevac. Thank you, good day.
Medevac, med-service 056, northeast tower, contact Philly 123.8.
123.8. They're saying this because they're asking that the pilots transfer over to contact the other frequency. Now, initially, when we heard the pilot, it didn't sound like there was any particular cockpit distress. In my opinion, the pilots may not have yet been distressed at the time that they've switched frequencies. In fact, I think this happened very suddenly to them. Well, what's about to happen? And I'll explain what my impression is, but we'll keep listening.
Medevac, med-service, northeast tower. Medevac, med-service 056, northeast tower. You on frequency?
Medevac, Mike Tango Sierra 056, northeast tower. How do you hear this transmission?
Medevac, med-service 056, northeast tower.
At this point, it's likely that they've already switched frequencies. They're on with the other comms. They're not on with tower anymore. And unfortunately, the accident takes place. Now, what else can we glean from the publicly available data? Well, when we look at the rest of the public data, we could see that the plane never enters its right turn, ever.
Right.
All we could see is that at 11:06 UTC, we have a plane that is still heading runway direction 1,200 feet after runway elevation. They haven't even begun their right turn. Now, the METAR we have at this moment, a couple hours afterwards, indicates broken clouds at 700 feet. It's possible that right as they entered this 1,300 foot height, they started to get disoriented in the clouds. And this can happen even to experienced instrument-rated pilots, especially if they're not familiar with the airport, they're not familiar with the area or the weather, and clearly at this point they've forgotten already to turn right. They might be overwhelmed with what's going on, especially if a passenger is potentially having issues in the back or somebody is talking to them and they don't actually have a sterile cockpit. Unfortunately, we're unlikely to know what happened on the inside because there's unlikely to be a voice data recorder or cockpit recorder on this small of a jet. However, I
Really? Oh, no.
can tell you that when you enter clouds, even as an instrument-rated pilot, it can be a moment of adjustment or call for a moment of adjustment. I was just flying a multi-engine plane yesterday, and the feeling of transitioning from I can see the horizon to, wow, I'm looking at a wall of clouds, and the clouds are the same color as the water under me. I was flying at around 4 p.m., and we had such an overcast day that everything looked like I was looking into a
That happens sometimes. I've watched a few documentaries and stories about something called spatial disorientation, and it says it's the inability to determine your position or motion relative to your surroundings. It can cause you to feel off balance, dizzy, and clumsy. So, like for example, if you're flying and it's just clouds around you and you can't see nothing, you wouldn't really be able to tell really if you're going to the right, to the left. You would have to use your instruments. So I don't know. Even if they couldn't see, they should have been able to rely on their instruments. Causes poor visibility. Conditions like fog, clouds, darkness, or haze can make it difficult to see visual cues for orientation. It's really important to be able to see where you're going. Like you wouldn't really be able to feel your way in clouds without the instruments, you know. Sensory mismatch. The visual, vestibular, and proprioceptive senses provide conflicting information. Illusions. The semicircular canals in your ear. That's the other thing I heard too about your ears. The semicircular canals in your inner ear can create a false sensations of rotation. Let me see. And there's a picture here. Spatial disorientation is when a pilot has an incorrect perception of the aircraft's position, altitude, or airspeed. It can lead to loss of control and a crash. Sensory mismatch, lack of visual references, malfunctioning instruments. That's another thing. If your instrument starts malfunctioning and you're in clouds, you can't see anything, you're be in big trouble. That's happened before. When the flight instruments are not working properly. Fatigue. When a pilot is fatigued, they're more likely to experience spatial disorientation, impaired judgment. So it can be a number of things. All right, let's keep going.
It was seamless on a studio set, as in there was no.
Yes. Texas turnaround. I think that's what happened. Wasn't JFK Jr.'s where's it at? Crash caused by disorientation. I watched the video about that, and I think that's what it was. Plane crash. John F. Kennedy Jr. died when the light aircraft was piloting crashed into the Atlantic Ocean. I watched the video on that. It was really, really, really good. In 1999, John F. Kennedy piloted a Piper Saratoga to attend the wedding of his cousin Rory and to Mark Bailey at the Kennedy compound. Let's see. Kennedy had purchased his plane 3 months before the crash. The Bezier sisters were seated in the second row of the seats, which faced the rear of the plane and were back to back. I thought I had something to do with that. Kennedy's plane crashed nearly nose first into the Atlantic Ocean, though particular details of the incident were unknown until after the investigation. Let's see. I don't know if they mention it here, but I thought that's what was the cause, like spatial disorientation or something like that. Okay. So the NTSB did investigate that crash, and the probable cause for the crash is the pilot's failure to maintain control of the airplane during descent over water at night as a result of spatial disorientation. There you go. That's a good thing you remember that. I saw a really, really good documentary on that on somewhere on YouTube. And let's see, investigation. Here we go. Spatial disorientation. So it happens.
No horizon anymore. It can take a moment to adjust and look, okay, let's get into instrument mode.
Right.
Look down. How's my altitude? How's my airspeed? And how is my heading? We already know that they've lost sight of their heading because they never initiated their turn. The only thing that's next to make a big oopsie when you start getting into the clouds is you accidentally pitch the nose up too high, especially if you're loaded to the rear. Now, when people hear jets, we regularly think that jets are extremely powerful. But as a jet owner myself, somebody who owns a slightly smaller than the Learjet 55, but a Phenom 300E, I can tell you the loading weight of these jets isn't as much as you think, especially if you have full fuel, because you're trying to get from Philadelphia all the way to Tijuana, Mexico, and you're going to
Well, that's the one thing I think he might have mistaken. I think they were actually going to Springfield, Missouri, and then to Mexico. But anyway,
be against the jet stream. You're probably trying to make it without stops, so you've probably filled this to the brim. If you filled this plane to the brim, you're going to have a useful load of about 1,800 to 2,200 pounds. That's not a lot. If you have 6 people on board, let's put an average weight for each person. Yes, the person under 18 was presumably under 200 pounds, but we don't know the weight of the pilots. So let's use an average weight per person of 200 pounds. Now we already have 1,200 pounds gone. But now we have to add medical equipment, possible IV equipment. We saw oxygen tanks in the debris field. There is a lot more weight on this plane than is probably typical, in addition to any kind of baggage that the mother and daughter potentially brought, or souvenirs or gifts that they got for succeeding in their treatment.
Hoax, I was just thinking that, man. It was in my head, Aaliyah, because their plane was overweight. Had too many stuff on there. She didn't even like to fly. She didn't want to fly. They gave her something to make her sleep. Her plane was overweight. And the other thing, too, is a lot of people, especially in America, are overweight, too. So they don't weigh people when people get on planes, But yeah, it reminds me of Aaliyah's plane.
I hate to say it, but I think there's a high likelihood that as the pilot...
I think there were overcapacity, too, on people. I think they had too many people in there, too, in Aaliyah's plane.
Entered the clouds, they unfortunately had a plane that was fully loaded, aft heavy, and before they could even realize it, had pitched the plane up slightly too high, and the plane entered a right spin. That's my opinion as somebody who's still advancing in their flight training, and I'm a newer pilot, so I want to be clear about that. But looking at this data, this is exactly what we're trained for to try to avoid. The best stall is no stall. And let's look at this data here together to see if this would make logical sense. We're at 1,300 feet at a ground speed of 187 knots. Now, if we expect an engine failure, we would expect that this ground speed would rapidly decline before our vertical speed declines. If our vertical speed rapidly declines, it potentially indicates a stall. Now, in case you've never been in a stall, when you get your private pilot license, you actually, in order to pass, you have to go on a check ride with a designated pilot examiner. They're authorized by the FAA to do this. I had my check ride not that long ago. And I had to show her a full stall, brake, and recovery in a single engine prop plane. And in a single engine prop plane, essentially you get into this would be like a power on stall, we would call it, where you're in a takeoff configuration. And in order to show them a power on stall, you have to pitch the nose back, pull it towards you essentially. So you're pulling on the elevator. You're pitching up until it breaks. And in a single engine prop, you can recover from this. So you'll actually give the examiner a full brake on a single engine plane. And what that feels like is you'll slowly up, stick shaker activates if you have one, stall, warning.
A stick shaker thing he's talking about. So yeah, when you start to stall, or right before you stall, the controls that the pilot's using, it'll usually shake, like start like vibrating, shaking. It's like to warn you that your plane's about to stall. It gives you the audio stuff, but sometimes there's so much going on in the plane, so your stick will actually start shaking and rocking.
Warning. When it brakes, it's not a slow brake. A brake, like a stall, will be something like whoosh.
Oh, man.
It's fast. And it is really difficult to recover from a stall if you're rearward loaded. And that is my assumption of what happened here. Baggage, the staff, and the patient, the mother. Anyway, in a single engine plane, you can recover from this.
There's a thing with planes too, that the weight is supposed to be distributed throughout the plane, I believe, like kind of evenly distributed. Because if you have weight more on one side, I think you have to kind of make up for it while you're flying. And so he thinks there was a lot of weight on the back, which would make it really difficult if the plane stalled to recover. And then those spinning stalls are even harder, I think, to recover from. I think wasn't it the Colombian flight that like spin stalled? I think it was Colombian.
In a multi-engine plane, going through multi-engine training and jet training, it's almost impossible to recover from these situations. In fact, when we train them, we never go into actual stalls in a multi-engine situation because they're so dangerous and deadly. They're almost unrecoverable. And I think that's why in footage, when we see the plane come down like a missile, it's frankly because they stalled and there was nothing to get them to recover. Now let's look at the data to see if the data corroborates this thesis. Again, we've got 1,300 feet of elevation, 187 knots of ground speed, vertical speed of 3,000, which is actually acceptable for a Learjet. It's fast. It's acceptable for a Learjet, though. The very next ping that we have, let's go ahead and reset the zoom there. There we go. The very next data point that we have is actually a vertical speed that has declined to 1,472 feet per minute. Now, this is really interesting because you're going 187 knots and you did speed up by about 11 knots. So you sped up 11 knots and your vertical speed decelerated. That would actually indicate an initial sort of pointing the nose down a little bit.
Maybe try to recover?
Unless this is the early portion of the stall. And unfortunately, that's what I think happened here. This is the moment of the stall. We gain speed because all of a sudden we're going from rising or climbing at 3,000 feet per minute. In the very next snapshot, which frankly is a distance of less than 5 seconds, right here, 38 on the second counter here, to 35, so we're talking 7 seconds, I should say. In 7 seconds, we go from climbing at 3,000 feet to climbing half of the rate, and then just 2 seconds later, when we get the 3 seconds later, when we get the next data point, we go from 1,400 feet per minute to 400 feet per minute, and our ground speed is picking up. And the very next data point, which is just 2 seconds later, we're at roughly the same feet per minute here, picked up a little bit on ground speed. Next data point is 4 seconds later, same spot. And within the next 5 seconds thereafter, we go from climbing at 448 feet to now falling at 2,800 feet per minute. Wow. So in other words, in the span of 20 seconds, we went from climbing 3,000 feet a minute, which is a steep climb, especially if you're fully loaded, to falling 2,000 feet per minute. That is not, to me, the sign of an engine failure. Engines fail at a rate of 1 every 240,000 flight hours for a turbine. It's very rare, and multi-engine pilots are trained to overcome an engine failure, even on takeoff. It hurts your leg because it takes a lot of rudder work, but this is a solve.
Yeah, because you got to compensate for the engine that's out. So I think you have to push the rudder. I don't remember. I think it's in the opposite direction to try to compensate for the engine that's out, because your plane's gonna be flying one way with the one engine, so you gotta push the rudder to try to some crazy shit.
Solvable issue. I think these pilots were so unfamiliar, they got themselves into the clouds, they got confused, possibly looked at each other for a moment and said, hey, what was the heading we were supposed to fly again? As they're in the clouds, they lost sight of the horizon. They didn't look at their instruments for the attitude or their pitch angle. And unfortunately, they exceeded the critical angle of attack and left the plane no choice but to stall.
Wow.
Now, I want to be clear. I don't know if this is with certainty what happened. And it might be a very long time for any of us to get all of the answers or all of the details of what actually happened. On screen, you could see some of the details or some of the debris that we see on the floor here.
So the whole angle of attack is something that I've heard many times when watching these documentaries of planes and stuff. And basically the wing has to be at an angle in order to get like lift. It explains it here, lift, speed, density, wing area, angle of attack. So it has to be like kind of like this. So he's saying he exceeded. So this guy was like to stall, climbing too high, but also maybe the back of the plane was heavy and that could cause it to stall. I think that's a really good theory.
Here, this is a devastating situation to see a medical plane with a pediatric patient crash, and some of the
I'll take a shot for the gram. Look at there.
Scenes are frankly heartbreaking. My purpose in going through some of the data we have here is really just to show you what. Okay, well, I wasn't expecting the audio to turn on that one, but anyway. It's really to show.
Yeah, all the stuff we saw last night, though, all these video clips, and some of the stuff was like very, very, very graphic. I could not post it on YouTube, but I did put the links on Discord because there were some people that wanted to actually see it.
Here that the flight or the plane came from Miami and landed in Philadelphia at around 12:30 p.m. on a scheduled slot, but it actually ended up arriving at 3:09. And then we have what looks like a flight plan that is filed for a 5 p.m. departure. But then we have the actual flight, which occurs right here, which is different from what's filed in the flight plan. It is the flight when they take off. And as we could see in the data here, this is not a continuation or a go-around, which would typically be indicated by ADS-B data indicating what looks like a fly over the airport and a continuation. It's possible. It doesn't seem like that's what's happening here in the data, given the time difference between this prior flight and what we see in this data. See, this is 5 p.m. UTC when they landed in Philadelphia, and they were going to Philadelphia to pick up a pediatric patient. So while there are some images circling around over, oh, could this have been a go-around? I think that's highly unlikely. For example, I see this image or tweet right here. Oh, was this a go-around? I don't think so. In fact, to me, this is just a normal takeoff pattern, and this is an interesting 3D visualization of the direction of their flight. As you can see, there's really at no point a right turn here.
Yeah, this is the image we were just showing. This was on Twitter. So just kind of, this image confirms what he was saying about like they didn't make the turn at 290 that they were supposed to make.
There's only a left turn stall, which is, again, extremely devastating, and it's just terrible to see. Again, the FAA has verified that there were 6 people.
Okay, so that's Meet Kevin on YouTube. My first time watching his channel this morning. And also Pilot Debrief left a comment on there. I like watching Pilot Debrief too. Really good guy to watch on YouTube, Pilot Debrief. A lot of airplane videos and stuff like that. All right. So still waiting on the press conference. Reminds me of yesterday's thing where they just kind of were taking a long time to start. Let me get some of the chat messages, and then we'll look for some more updates while we wait. And I hope that they actually have some information, because last night they didn't really have anything as far as updates. They were just telling us this accident happened, and they have no information, basically. Leslie, thank you for the message. Says, my husband is a pilot and thinks your pilot commenting is straight on. Oh, thank you. Thinks your pilot commenting is straight on. Okay, good. We lost an engine once on a plane over Mexico and flew fine to emergency landing with a one engine safety. I've never had that happen. I hope it never happens. But from the videos that I've watched, yeah, the pilots are trained to fly, one engine if they have to, turn around and get it back. It would be horrifying if it happened like over the ocean or something. What would you do? But if you're flying in the States, there's just so many options too. You can divert to whatever airport is closest to you. It's I guess if you're in the middle of the ocean, that's maybe the more scarier part. Peter, thank you for the 20 earlier. Says, I think the Baltimore Bridge attack, the Reagan National Airport crash. Oh, I forgot about the bridge. The Reagan National Airport crash and this crash were cyber attacks where the systems were hacked. These two crashes too close to be coincidental. Thank you. Island Thrift says takeoff and landing most dangerous because aircraft operated by human. I thought, yeah, I'm pretty sure I thought when taking off, I thought the pilots usually are manually controlling it until they get to whatever altitude, and then they put autopilot. And I thought landing was supposed to be, maybe it depends where you're landing. I thought that was supposed to be pretty easy because I thought basically like the plane, you just line up the plane and it lands. I thought. I mean, there's a whole checklist and stuff that they got to go through, but I mean, clearly as we can see, it's not that white and black because we've seen some of these planes that were supposed to, like the DC one was about to land, but we had that chopper problem. I Can Prep says heavy trucks have way stations. Oh, okay. Public landfills have them. I can't understand why airports don't. I think they should. Yeah, I agree. Under Your Scars, thanks for the 5, says, watch WF 2 parts called Cocaine Cargo. The amount of cocaine snuck into a plane in DR would have killed staff if not noticed. Staff held for months there. Wow. All right, let's see what else we got going on. We're still waiting for this press conference. Let's see if I can find anything on scene. I guess they're taking long this morning to do this. Let's see. Live on the scene. There's nothing there. Oh, here's another camera.
Yeah, perhaps.
It looks like more people are starting to gather. Maybe they're getting ready to start. Let me check Twitter. Ooh. By the way, and I'm going to post a video later. I meant to post this yesterday, but some people find this really weird. As far as the DC plane crash, the family requested not to have the identity released. They're saying it's a female, supposedly, allegedly. I saw somewhere said it's a female. Black Hawk pilot involved in DC crash still unknown, as Army refused to identify. So they will not identify this other person that was in the Black Hawk related to the DC crash. So some people say, yeah, respect the family's wishes because they made a request to the Army. Other people say, well, it's transparency. We should know who it is that was involved in the crash. So I don't know. And I think it's causing more of a stir there probably really needs to be just because it's not released, Mayor Philadelphia. It looks like they're getting ready. About to start, maybe. Saying it wasn't a female. I saw somebody yesterday, some reports say that it was a female. It's so crazy how fast the planes.
Check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. How is the audio? Check.
Slow it down. You'll see it was hit by something. After it hit the ground, the other thing is seen flying away to the right. Oh, I think that's just debris. Let's see. Six Americans who were being held hostage in Venezuela were freed Friday night. Okay. Venezuela is holding hostages. Huh.
There we go. Get
We good? Bring it down.
no.
We good? Go, come on down a little bit more. 1, 2, 1. Check.
Oh my god.
Still hot. You still hot. 1, 2.
Yeah, you're hot. I'm trying to get the mic, so I guess the mayor's gonna speak.
One, two.
Okay. While we wait, check out another aerial view of the aftermath. Wow. That's that's so crazy to see, because I've seen some of these small plane crashes. I haven't seen it cause this much devastation. It literally looks like a bomb went off. Wow. What's that? And I hope nobody was in these cars either. Look, these cars are burnt to a crisp. Wow. Oh, here she is. Okay. Oh, that's the audio? What?
Are you all connected? Can you hear us well?
Oh,
I know some people were saying they had no audio. Okay, we'll just give it a few seconds.
Oh, God. Let me see real quick. Is there any other options? Oh, my gosh. This is Fox. Let me see. Fox
Sherelle
Business.
Parker, Mayor, City of Philadelphia.
I think that's a little better. All that time doing audio checks, and that's what it sounds like?
Hello, Sherelle Parker.
That's better.
Mayor,
That one's better.
City of Philadelphia.
Let me check this one.
Overview of where we stand.
This is better. This is better.
Remains an ongoing investigation, so the situation remains fluid and active. Our Philadelphia Police Department, our Fire Department, Office of Emergency Management, first responders, with all of our local, state, and federal partners, they all worked through the night at this crash site. I want to personally give my deepest thanks to each of them and my gratitude for their persistence. At this point, we can confirm that there were 6 souls on board the plane that crashed on Cotman Avenue last evening. A pediatric patient, their mother, and a 4-person flight crew. This was a medical transport plane that took off from our nearby Northeast Philadelphia airport, and it was only afloat for a very short period of time before something went terribly wrong and it crashed. The aircraft, a Learjet 55, it was en route to Missouri, according to our Federal Aviation Administration. I want to be very clear that the city of Philadelphia, we mourn their loss, and they are in our thoughts and in our prayers. We can also confirm that at least one other person perished in this tragedy, and this individual was in a car. We can confirm that there are also a number of other victims who were injured in this incident, and they are being treated in area hospitals And thus far, our count is that there are 19 injured victims. But again, this is not etched in stone. The investigation is ongoing. Investigators are poring over the crash site right now. Further updates will be provided as soon as they are available, but I want to be clear that we will find a cause for this tragedy. Let me give you an update on utilities, gas, electric, and cable. PECO, we know that there have been households impacted, and PECO is working to restore power. The same goes for PGW. They are working to restore service. Interruption, for which we've learned has been minimum, but they are working on it. Our other partners, like SEPTA, there are detours, and you should check for updates on their website at septa.org for alerts and other advisories. We are encouraging as many people as possible in the area to stay home if you can, because this is an active investigation. However, I do want to note that we have members of our police and fire and Office of Emergency Management on all of our blocks. No Philadelphian who is in the impacted area should have a problem moving to and from their home if necessary and they have to leave. Let me also state, and this is very important, our local, state, and federal partners, they are all working together as we work to address this tragedy. And I want to give a special thank you to Ralph Hicks, who is the senior air safety investigator for the NTSB. I just spoke with Ralph shortly. I know the director is on her way. She may be here by now, but I want to say a special thank you to them, along with the FAA. Our governor, who was with me last night here and continues to be right by our side, Governor Josh Shapiro, our Pennsylvania State Police, Pennsylvania Emergency Management, the Department of Environmental Protection, of course our Philadelphia Police and Fire, Office of Emergency Management, Managing Director's Office, the American Red Cross for Southeastern Pennsylvania, our School District of Philadelphia, all of the agencies and officials. We are grateful for your support. I have to now recognize, and this is essential, because again, intergovernmental collaboration and cooperation is essential. And I do want you to know that I have been told, after speaking with first responders throughout the night, that this has not always been the case. But with the support of the White House, with the support of our U.S. Senators Fetterman and McCormick, our congressional delegations in Evans, Boyle, and Scanlon, every state legislator who is present here, Reps Doherty, Nielsen, Solomon, and Bellman in particular, along with State Senator Picozzi, Councilmember Driscoll, Commissioner Dealey, and the Mexican consulate is here. We want to thank you so very much. Your assistance in working with our medical technicians and scientists, it has been extremely helpful, and we are grateful for your partnership. What you witness here on today is everyone standing up together, and it is the standard operating procedure for how we will address this issue in the city of Philadelphia. The next thing we've received a number of questions about, and it's important that we listen carefully here. Shelter. There is a shelter at Samuel Fells High School located at 5500 Langdon Street here in Northeast Philadelphia. It is being operated by our Office of Emergency Management and the American Red Cross Southeastern Pennsylvania, and it is operating 24/7. The Red Cross disaster workers, they are there to assist anyone who's been displaced by this tragedy. Yes, people have already begun using the shelter, and we encourage anyone who needs assistance to take advantage of it. If you need to reach them directly, feel free to call 1-800-RED-CROSS for any kind of property damage as well, or for help in filing a claim. I want you to call 911 though if you need assistance other than shelter today. So for shelter, 1-800-RED-CROSS. Anything other than shelter, we want you to call 911. In addition to that, mental and behavioral health. It's extremely important. If you need assistance with any mental and behavioral health services, we have them available through the city's Office of DBIDS. That's our Department of Behavioral Health and Intellectual Disability Services. We want you to call them. And again, the facts, because there's so much misinformation being distributed on social media, and we can't control that. So we wanted to make sure you have access to accurate information here on today. And that number that you should call is 215-685-6440, or visit www.dbhids.org. Now, how to help others displaced or impacted by the tragedy. I happen to be a praying mayor, and I know that prayer works. And the most powerful thing that you can do, if you're home right now, if you're anywhere across the nation or in the Commonwealth or the city, and you're saying, what can I do to help offer a prayer for our city? Now is the time that we need it. However, we know people want to help, and we are going to make formal, actionable ways available for you to assist, but we do ask you to please do not come to the site right now. Do not come to the site right now. It is still very much an active scene. No donations are needed at this time. No donations are needed at this time. If there is any formal structure, and this is extremely important, there is no GoFundMe established. Nothing has been established on social media
There's a lot of scams
to formally impact this. So if you are seeing that, Philadelphia, it is not formal, and we ask you to proceed with caution. I would stay away from it if I were you. We appreciate everyone's desire to help, and if anything changes, we will let you know, but we must. And this becomes extremely important as I, watch the NTSB along with the FAA work with our forensics department and our Pennsylvania State Police. Right now, they need the ability to do their jobs, and that's what we want to make sure that we give them. So they're going to continue the investigation and efforts at the crash site, and it has to continue without interruption. What about road closures? We've received questions about this as well. Go online at ReadyPHL to receive regular updates from our Office of Emergency Management. This includes information on road closures in the area and any relevant information for the public. Right now, I want to close by saying we're asking you to be patient. Your city is working around the clock with all of our local, state, and federal partners on every element of this tragedy. There are no silos. There may be specific lanes. There may be specific assignments that each of these respective agencies are responsible for, but the left hand knows what the right hand is doing, and they are collaborating on a consistent basis. And in our city of Philadelphia, my gosh, are we grateful, because we wouldn't have it any other way. We want you to keep those who perished or were injured in your prayers. For those of you who were wondering why we were so hesitant on yesterday to not give you any formal and/or official numbers, it was because we knew those numbers would be moving, and we knew what would happen as daylight came upon us, that the investigators on the ground, and along with their communication with our area hospitals, they would gather more intelligence. So Philadelphia, I want you to know that we will not act in haste as we are reporting on this issue. As much as we might want to communicate immediately, we will not share any information with you that has not been cross-referenced through cross-sector collaboration, and that's extremely important. We will update the public and the press regularly throughout the day. Thank you all. God bless Philadelphia. And now is the time for us to demonstrate what our One Philly philosophy means. I now want to turn it over to our governor, who's been here with us from the start, Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro.
Thank you, Mayor. Let me begin by affirming what the mayor said at the conclusion of her remarks, that the city is working around the clock to keep people safe, to understand what happened, and to be there for those who are impacted. The city's been working around the clock at the direction of a strong and steady mayor in Sherelle Parker. And I want to say thank you to the mayor for her leadership. Leadership matters in moments of crisis, and demonstrated here by Sherelle Parker, our mayor. I also want to reaffirm what the mayor said about everybody working together with common purpose. There are no silos or stovepipes. Instead, it is everyone joining forces together. I want to lift up those state resources that have been here in Northeast Philadelphia working around the clock, and I want to thank the mayor for referencing them. At the request of Commissioner Bethel, your outstanding police commissioner, Colonel Christopher Parris of the Pennsylvania State Police, who joins me here to the left of the mayor, has dispatched roughly 50 members of the Pennsylvania State Police from Troops K and M, and we thank them for their work here. PEMA, the Pennsylvania Emergency Management Authority, has been on the ground since last night under the leadership of Director Randy Padfield, who slept here last night to work together with Director Teal and the other leaders here in the city, has made sure that the city of Philadelphia has all of the resources they need. PEMA and the Pennsylvania State Police are no stranger to tragedies, and we will bring our expertise to support the work happening here locally on the ground. As I mentioned last night, I've been in communication directly with the United States Department of Transportation Secretary Duffy. He's asked if we need any additional resources. We do not. They have dispatched members of the FAA, and the NTSB has also been dispatched. We want to thank the federal government and our federal partners for their support. The mayor alluded to this earlier, and I just want to put an exclamation point on it. We are joined by several state representatives and our state senator for this community. Everyone is here on the ground. They're here on the ground not just to address you, but they've been here on the ground for their neighbors. I know that the good people of Northeast Philadelphia this morning, as daybreak came, walked out from their homes, came down from their stoops, and saw carnage in their communities, saw fuselage, saw destruction, and saw things that no one should ever have to experience in their neighborhoods. We also saw the very best of Northeast Philly, neighbor helping neighbor, folks looking out for one another. That's the Philly way. That's the Philly spirit. That's what the mayor preaches all the time about One Philly. This is not just a group of emergency response professionals working together at the state, local, and federal level. This is neighbors working together to look out for one another. Our neighborhood has expanded over the last several hours. Northeast Philly to the entire city of Philadelphia, to the entire Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and of course to our neighbors all across the world. I want to make special mention of Consul General Carlos Obrador, who joins us here today. His nation suffered loss in this tragedy. We are with you, Mr. Consul General. The entire Commonwealth of Pennsylvania stands with you. This is the One Philly way, outreaching our arms to bring warmth and comfort and love to one another. I'll close by echoing the sentiment that the mayor shared. She's a praying mayor, I'm a praying governor, and I want to offer my prayers to all of those who are impacted. May God's light shine upon this wonderful city and all of its inhabitants. May we lift up those who are mourning and those who are in a moment of strife. This is a time for us all to join together in prayer and in common purpose, and that's exactly what is happening here in the city of Philadelphia, in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Madam Mayor, thank you for your strong leadership.
We are going to make sure that we take
no Q&A?
There we go. Questions. Yes.
Tell us about structures and damage to the neighborhood. Also, if you believe that there will be other fatalities that you have victims that you have yet to identify at this point.
What I want to do is ask our managing director, Adam Teal, and also our fire commissioner to come forward. Teal?
We've had, in this incredible tragedy that exists, the Philadelphia Fire Department did have 5 dwelling fires that were involved. Those fires were completely extinguished. Our fire marshals are on location continuing to investigate and search every one of those affected dwellings.
As anybody who's been here on the scene or seen the scope and the scale of this incident can attest, this is a very large area with a lot of damage. And we are still working in a number of different ways to assess that damage. Right now, we are doing another, what we call a grid search of this entire roughly 4 to 6 block area, a very dense area, to ensure that we have found everything that we need to find, that we have checked in, as you heard the mayor say, with all of the residents, and we will continue to do that. We have teams who are going literally house by house, door to door, and also our license and inspections personnel are inspecting all of those dwellings, all the dwellings in the area, so we can be sure that we don't have other hidden damage or structural damage, and it is possible that we will still find that. So as you heard, this is still a very active and fluid situation. It is entirely possible there will be changes to those casualty figures that you heard. And this is why, as you heard the mayor say, we are being very thoughtful and intentional about this. We have a number of patients who are currently in hospital. We have a lot of unknowns about who was where on the streets of this neighborhood last night at the time of impact. So it will likely be days or more until we are able to definitively answer the question about the number of folks who perished in this tragedy and the outcome for those who are injured. Right now, I would certainly echo, please pray for all of those affected by, otherwise keep them in your thoughts, this tragedy. Adam Teal, I'm the managing director for the city of Philadelphia.
Let me just state for the record that the NTSB, the FAA, all of our intergovernmental collaboration, it is all a part of an active investigation. When they formally have something that they can report, they will do a separate a press conference or press avail to affirm what they have recovered as a result of their investigation. But again, a special thanks to them for working in partnership with us. I also just want to state this for the record, because it came to light during one of our briefings earlier. There may have been some people in the area last night when the explosion occurred, and they may wake up and go out to get into their cars. They live in another part of the city, and they may have evidence actually on their cars. If that happens to be you, don't touch it. Just call 911 immediately. Our forensics unit, are just an amazing job, but everything is essential to us addressing this tragedy. So just call 911 if that's the case.
At this time, do you know how far reaching the debris field is?
The area of impact, that area is roughly 4 to 6 blocks. And we also have debris in remote area where something happened with the aircraft, and that's something we'll need to leave the NTSB to talk about. So it's
can we rewind that?
And we also have debris in remote area where something happened with the aircraft, and that's something we'll need to leave the NTSB to talk about. So it's a very widespread area.
What's that?
And we are still trying to understand the entire scope. So as you heard the mayor say, it's possible that if you are somewhere not even near here, somewhere between this location and Northeast Airport, you may go out and find something in your yard, something in your car. Please, as you heard her say, don't touch it, call 911. We need to know that. This is still relatively early in the long-term trajectory of this incident.
So pieces of the plane were falling before the impact?
That will all be information you will hear from
That's
the NTSB.
that's very, and like the way he paused and everything, like the way he said it's like, yeah, like there's an area, a specific area where the plane, and he just like paused. And so she's questioning here, is like, yeah, did the plane fall apart with such a wide, I mean, I get the impact was so hard that things are going to blow up and whatever, but did the plane start falling apart midair?
This is still relatively early in the long-term trajectory of this incident.
So pieces of the plane were falling before the impact?
That will all be information you will hear from the NTSB at the appropriate time. The question about how large is this incident, we are still trying to understand that completely.
Last question.
For right now, call 911. If you have, it's very important. The police department has a very robust way that they deal with missing persons cases. So if you haven't seen somebody, you think somebody might have been in this area, you have a relative in this area, and you haven't seen or heard from them, and you're concerned, call 911, and we will take it from there.
Thank you, everybody.
That's it.
Thank you, everyone.
Before we conclude, let me state for the record, Managing Director, Teal Police Commissioner Kevin Bethel, Dominic, our fire commissioner, I have to say a special thank you to each of you for your leadership. To my senior team, Tiffany Thurman, Chief of Staff for the City of Philadelphia, Sincere A. Harris, Chief Deputy Mayor, Vanessa Garrett Harley, Chief Deputy Mayor, and the entire Parker administration, cabinet. Thank you all so very much for your support and the hard work that you are demonstrating. We will get through this, and we will get through it together. Thank you all so very much, and we'll report back later.
Thank you, everybody.
So, kind of not really much of an update. Besides, they just confirmed 6 people, which we knew since last night. Even the FAA was denying 6 at first. They said 2. I don't know how they came up with that, but then they confirmed it was 6. And then they also confirmed, I think, somebody on the ground is deceased. And they said the numbers can change. And that's about it. The only thing I found really interesting about the press conference was just that moment where this guy pauses and he said, like, there's a specific area where the plane, and he kind of pauses. It's almost like an area of interest that maybe he's going to give clues to what caused the accident. And then that reporter asked a really good question about, did the plane start falling apart in the air? Did the plane split in the air? Or break, start falling apart? That would make a really large debris field if it started breaking apart in the air. So, I don't know. Very, very interesting. Just that part. I was thinking of a couple of things and it slipped my mind. The Mexican president did make a comment on Twitter this morning, February 1st. We're already in February. And she said, I regret the death of 6 Mexicans in the plane crash in Philadelphia, United States. The consular authorities are in permanent contact with the families. I have asked the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to support them in whatever way is required. My solidarity with their loved ones and friends. So she made a comment, a tweet. There's a couple other things happening. We'll just see if there's anything else. Oh, this was somebody told me to mention this. I was tagged on Twitter. And there was a plane crash that also was spatial disorientation. A pilot, this was back in 2021, pilot in Tennessee crash that killed 7 experienced spatial disorientation, NTSB says. 7 high-ranking members of Brentwood's Remnant Fellowship Church were killed on May 29, 2021, when the plane crashed into Percy Priest Lake Reservoir just east of Nashville. 7 were identified. And in the report, it says NTSB says the Cessna 501 took off bound for West Palm Beach, Florida, and made a climbing right turn when entering the clouds above the airport. The plane then began to descend, and the pilot did not initially respond to air traffic control instructions, The pilot acknowledged the instructions after a second request by the controllers and began a climbing right turn, followed by a left turn. The pilot then went radio silent and did not respond to controllers and then crashed into the lake. So they said that there was no mechanical failures, and they did an analysis of the flight track. It was concluded that the pilot was experiencing spatial disorientation shortly after takeoff. He was said to not effectively use his instrumentation during takeoff, which was not able to recover from to avoid the crash. And this is almost similar to this story. Possibly, it's just a theory that, right after this plane in Philadelphia took off, like the one pilot was saying, his theory was spatial disorientation. And I even pulled up the NTSB report, but I found the PDF, but it's actually really long. I don't think we need to go all these pages long. But basically, they say the same thing. It climbed up. The pilot responded and said, N66BK with you. The controller then instructed the pilot to turn right heading 130. However, the pilot did not acknowledge. Just like this Philadelphia thing where the pilot didn't make the turn he was supposed to make, and there were some lower clouds. The controller instructed N66BK to climb and maintain 1,500 feet, but there was no response from the pilot. The controller then made multiple attempts to reestablish communications with the flight. However, there were no further responses. The witnesses heard what he thought was a low-flying military jet before he saw the airplane impact the lake straight down. Attitude with the nose of the airplane impacting the water first. He did not see any evidence of fire or an explosion on impact. So the NTSB report's more detailed, but that's the gist of this other airplane crash. And they give the pilot's experience and all that stuff. I guess that's it for now. If you guys see anything else, any updates? One person was killed in a vehicle and 19 others on the ground were injured from the plane crash Friday night. Okay. Man, I don't want to hear about any other plane crashes for a while, bro. Like, if another one happens, I'm just going to be like, what is going on? It's already like, what's going on? All right. Damn. Men, this is unrelated. Men are flocking to female-oriented dominated yoga and Pilates classes. I like yoga. It's been a long time since I did it. And women are enraged. We all secretly hate you. They don't want men there. Why? So yeah, that's the morning update for you guys. I had some unrelated stuff. This interaction was kind of interesting, just to end off the stream on some little tidbits that I had. Oh no, Mandy, don't say that. Comes in threes. Plane crashes always comes in threes? Oh, hell nah. Come on, guys. Nina Turner accuses President Trump of accusing black people who reach the highest levels of leadership are DEI hires, but miserably fails to prove it. So this was an interesting conversation because this guy at News Nation, I've never really seen him get, I don't know, back and forth with people. This is the first time I've seen him kind of be back and forth. And this DEI thing has become a big topic because of, Trump mentioned it the other day during a press conference with relation to the DC plane crash.
Hold on. You talk. Now let me make a point. I have not heard.
Excuse me.
Heard from the Trump administration. I've listened to every one of Donald Trump's press conferences since he took office. I listened to all Pete Hegseth's press conferences and Sean Duffy's. I didn't hear any of them say that if somebody who was black, blue, red, green, short, tall, female, male, whatever, got a job, it was because of lowered standards. I didn't hear that. You're changing the goalposts.
They are saying that.
No, they didn't.
They are saying that. It is called a dog whistle. They are saying that. In 2020, it was Black Lives Matter, right? In 2022, it was CRT. In 2024, it was woke. And now in 2025, it is DEI.
Woke?
All of that is
you just can't give it, but you.
No, woke is not a code for black. It's encompassing. There's a whole bunch of different. There's a lot of woke people, all different colors and all kinds of stuff.
You're the one making this about race. They're the ones making it about merit.
They're the one that's making Leland. They're the ones that are making this about race. Now I didn't know you want to do this dance with me tonight. You should have told me I would have wore different dance shoes.
Yeah, look at his face. He's like what?
Dance with me tonight? You should have told me I would have wore different dance shoes. They are making this about race. Every time I turn around, they're talking about DEI. They're making this about race.
Why? Okay, hold on. You're the one conflating. Hold on. Let me finish.
No, I'm not.
Let me finish. Okay? You're the one who's saying DEI equals race. They're the ones who say we don't want DEI. It doesn't matter about race. We want merit.
DEI itself is based on race. That's what it is.
No, but they're turning around in a backhanded way. See, you need to come on and travel through the black community with me and have this conversation in the black community. I want to invite you.
Don't go. Just do it online.
To do that because most black people understand what is going on here.
So yeah, this is the big topic of conversation. I think I covered that one, but I think actually 2 people died. Did you hear about the Fulton, California plane crash into the building before the DC one? Door appeared ajar on the kit plane in Fulton crash that killed 2 and injured 19. Oh no, I don't know if that's the one. I don't know if I covered that one or not. I thought the one I covered, the people survived. Door ajar. Why is the door ajar? Pilot's door appeared ajar, open. What's up with that? 2 people killed. I thought I covered this story. I'm not sure. But yeah, that's the big. It's a hot topic. I get it. People, DEI stuff. And this happened yesterday too. Thought I heard about this. They said not only were 30 federal attorneys who worked on the January 6th cases fired, but all 6 of the FBI's most senior executives and multiple heads of field offices have been escorted out. So. What's the phrase? Cleaning out the sink? I don't know. Elon Musk, when he first took on Twitter, he took a kitchen sink. It was a sink and walked out with it. This is kind of interesting. This is something amidst all this stuff that's been happening. Mysterious square structure on Mars. It's real. A striking square-shaped structure on Mars has surfaced on Reddit. And yes, it's legit. The image comes from NASA's Mars Global Surveyor and its Mars Orbiter camera, with the original available via Arizona State University's Mars Images Explorer. So this is an image from Mars. And I have to say, it does look, is it just natural formation? It looks exactly square. Was there a building there? Elon Musk said we should send astronauts to Mars to investigate. Did I get any sleep last night? I slept really good. Let me show you because I got the ring that tracks. I got a score of 87. I'll show you. Score 87, sleep efficiency 93, 7 hours and 40 minutes, 8 hours and 15 minutes in bed. The only thing I can improve maybe is my timing. I think the timing means, what does that mean? Oh, because I went to sleep late because we were on late last night. And I woke up pretty early. I thought like at 8 something this morning I woke up. I've been working on my sleep. My sleep has been like improving like crazy. I'm not doing pre-workout anymore. I'm just doing like my cup of coffee in the morning. The other night in the middle of the week, I didn't sleep good. The night where the DC crash happened, I think. That night I woke up, my score was bad that morning. What time to go to bed? I think it was like 12 or something last night, wasn't it? 12 something? It was kind of late. It was like 12, and then I woke up like at 8. Oh, I have so many. I think I'm going to have like a shrimp farm in here. The shrimp are like, it's crazy the amount of, I sometimes post pictures on Discord. It's crazy the amount of shrimp that I have in there. This was another heated exchange about, I don't know, a heated exchange in South Fullerton. Council members questioned. Some of these, I sometimes think I should stream some of these council member stuff.
A heated exchange as South Fulton council members question the mayor for spending $26,000 on his city-issued credit card, including a trip to Africa. Here it is.
I am so distressed and disappointed that the blackest city in the United States of America is heading into Black History Month with its all-black council tearing each other down.
We're not tearing you down. You took your black behind over to Africa for 20 days and didn't tell anybody.
Well, they say the mayor has yet to justify the expenses that are now being audited. We've reached out to the mayor for his side of the story, but he hasn't responded yet. Be sure to download Fox Local for live streaming news and a heated exchange as South Fulton council members question the mayor for spending $26,000 on his city-issued credit card, including a trip to Africa. Here it is.
I am so...
Oh, right. Another trip to Africa. Thinking about Mayor Bass.
Distressed and disappointed that the blackest city in the United States of America is heading into Black...
Yeah, what city is this?
History Month with its all-black council tearing each other down.
We're not...
And she's like, I don't give a fuck what you talking about, Black history or whatever. We're talking about that you took an expense trip to Africa.
We're not tearing you down. You took your black behind over to Africa for 20 days and didn't tell anybody.
Well, they say the mayor has yet to justify the expense.
So they're going to audit the expenses. I guess he went on the people's dime or whatever. Crazy. That's only a snippet. That whole meeting probably was interesting. There was a meeting the other day where there was like a whole huge fight. Teabag sent me the clip. He told me at 1:05, Thornton Township meeting. I'll just skip to it real quick. We'll just watch a snippet of it. Teabag sent this to me. Said skip to 1:05.
That Miss Everybody has reasoning skills, and she can make a decision on her own. You should not have to tell her what to do. If you have to tell her what to do, and she can't think of reasoning out herself, she needs to step down from that position. But we know that's going to be wiped out soon.
I need to go to one of these town meetings or whatever this is. Maybe it's better to watch from a distance, though. Probably don't want to. You never know what could happen, you know. Jebediah. Okay, let's go. He looks serious, too. Is that him? Or no?
All right, so, man, there's so much. I didn't want to say nothing, but I really didn't like how you disrespected the newly elected trustee. But what I want to say is it's clear that you got questionable spending habits. You got a failed business venture.
Let's go.
Your restaurant was deemed nasty.
Oh.
And it's proven while you talking about her education, we can't even verify yours.
Oh.
But since you sold for women, I really already knew by the way you handled Fania. But for you to sit up here and disparage that woman after giving her that fake ass congratulations in the beginning because you thought you was going to get what you wanted. Here's the thing. I want to educate you. Stephanie Wiedemann is a 20-year employee, and ain't none of her business ventures ever failed. On top of that, she serves as a chief of staff, and she didn't fuck her way to the top.
Bro! What the hell? Why didn't I watch this sooner?
She's efficient in budgets and don't hide her deeds. She is efficient in organization. She served as a temporary interim executive director for the Dalton Park District until she stepped aside to help her daughter become something you'll never be, which is a married woman.
Bro, this is crazy.
And her daughter moved away to Texas, and when her daughter moved away to Texas, she went to help her daughter. But I done heard about 4 or 5 people tell me how they had to take care of yours. And so while you've been a half-ass mayor, but if you wanted to get up here and earn some respect, then you should have been able to respond to Lori Lightfoot's report about credit cards. You want to talk about them not coming to work, but we've been hearing about what you've been doing while you've been at work, and I'm going to give away the rest of my time because I think on behalf of the Black Cookout Association that we would better take a vote and we're going to exchange your black ass for Stephanie to be the new member of Congress. So all those in favor say, all those against it say nay, all those in favor say aye. You gone, bitch.
Oh, here we go. And then like a fight starts. Hold on, let me see. I don't know how let me see. I just don't want to make sure I can't. Does it get too violent? Yeah, they just like punching. I don't want to show the punching. Okay, and it's like an all-out brawl. Oh my gosh. It's crazy. It's just crazy. Oh my god, it's an all-out brawl. What's wrong with these people? Okay, and then so they end up carrying somebody out. I heard that it was the lady's boyfriend that jumped in and started fighting the guy that was talking. I mean, I guess this guy didn't have any issue posting the fighting video, but I it's like a different set of rules for me. I don't want to show too much of that. Be careful. Wow. Wow. He went out like Tony Montana without the guns. Damn. Is that the guy? I think that's the boyfriend. What? You niggas home. I better not catch none of you fuck niggas outside of here. I think that's the boyfriend of the lady. Wow. The producer Mark posted this. I just put a little snippet. It's an hour long, but T-Bag told me to check out an hour in. Chaos, man.
Uh-oh. What happened?
They all started fighting.
Again?
No, well, Jed just went in on it. So
somebody said he's getting the gun. I mean, oh, shit.
Oh, getting the gun? Uh-oh.
Where's that?
I mean, the township meeting, I mean, the guy was firing off. That was pretty harsh, but maybe he's saying the truth. I don't know what the situation is. But that's their place to speak and voice their opinions, man, or how they feel or whatever. That's how the community feels. And a lot of people seem to be agreeing with him. I don't know what's going on in that town, but just because somebody disagrees and says this stuff, you don't need to go violent and then go get a gun. The hell?
Somebody said he's getting a gun.
Who?
I don't know. Whoever the guy that whacked out of here.
Jed came back down to fight. Stephanie jumped in and fucking was throwing punches.
Who's getting the gun?
Stephanie jumped in and threw punches?
I don't know, man. I'm pressed.
He is.
It's going to be on every news channel tonight, man. Oh, my God.
Kamal needs to go. Kamal needs to go.
Who's Kamal? Is that the boyfriend? What a mess. Thornton Township. I don't know why I didn't watch this sooner, because T-Bag told me to watch it. It didn't cross my mind to do it until now. Thornton Township. I guess we've been so busy with all these other stories. Tiffany Henyard, Dalton Mayor, speaks out on investigation into Dalton finances. Okay. Earlier this week, Henry was seen rushing into the center of a brawl that broke out. Let's take a look at this real quick. A brawl that broke out during the township board meeting. It's just the latest development during months of drama and investigations involving her leadership. So she is being investigated. They are looking into her, apparently.
For the mayor of Dalton to resign, she is defending herself tonight. Tiffany Henyard says she is staying put and running for re-election. Henyard says if she wins, she will choose employees much more carefully. The mayor of Dalton has had nothing to say in person about the investigation into village finances until today.
I understand everybody want me to be the target. I understand everybody want me to be the bad guy for everything that goes on in the village, but that's not the truth.
In the village? What is this, 19 or 18 something?
Tiffany Henyard met with us and her attorney to comment on the report. They say Henyard released a statement Tuesday, but it didn't get much attention. Henyard says she's being blamed for the actions of others.
You're the boss.
Do everybody know what their employees do? No.
But do you feel responsibility because they were your employees?
I feel responsibility to tell the truth, and that's what I'm doing.
On Monday, former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot revealed expenses ballooned during Henyard's tenure that led to a deficit of $3.65 million at one point. Lightfoot reports anything over $5,000 needed trustee approval, but that protocol wasn't followed, and instead the village was paying off expenses from 6 different credit cards that included few receipts from places like Wayfair and Amazon. And over
what they ordering, furniture and stuff?
$40,000 for items for an ice skating rink. Henyard contends the expenses were approved and that she was not the one making purchases.
Put the responsibility where it goes. I understand everybody wants to be the mayor. It's not the mayor. It's people put in place.
Lori Lightfoot's not interested in fact, but in spectacle. She's interested in political theater that's going to help her, not the people.
Lightfoot's spokesperson shared a comment which reads in part, Mayor Henyard and others systematically withheld the truth from trustees and the public about the true financial state of the village.
So they've turned on each other.
The spokesperson goes on to say, the facts speak for themselves, and no amount of spin can overcome the tragic reality of her tenure as mayor of the village of Dalton. A day after the Lightfoot report, social media lit up with videos of a scuffle at a Thornton Township meeting where Henyard is supervisor. Henyard is seen in this video.
She over there throwing down. She's fighting too.
Involved in the chaos. Her lawyer claims someone from outside Dalton who attended the meeting swung a knife at the mayor's boyfriend.
Wow. These men are attacking him with a deadly weapon, and the mayor, fearing for his safety, did go toward that crowd, risking getting hurt herself.
Her attorney claims that coverage of the incident unfairly villainizes Henyard. We should mention no one was arrested or charged in that incident in Thornton Township. Now, meantime, the Dalton board meets on Monday, but after what happened in Thornton, Mark and Cheryl, Tiffany Henyard says she's unlikely to attend unless they beef up security.
Yeah, I was going to say they need security, armed security over there. So, Dalton Village of Dalton, demographics. What is this shit? The population was 21,426 at the 2020 census. Dalton, Illinois. That's what it said. The last recorded thing here is 21,000. When I think of village, I just think of like the old times. The old like sometimes this is what I picture in my head. like a little town or some little whatever. Village of Dalton. What a mess. Dalton Village. Anyway, I guess that's it for now, man. I'm gonna chill, hang with the family, maybe clean up a little bit. It's been a lot going on, man. It's been so much with Raw Alerts made a post. Raw Alerts, he made a post apologizing because he went in on somebody last night. One of those pages that are always posting, in my opinion, make fake information, fake news, all this stuff. He called out the page, and the Matt Wallace page. I thought I followed them, but I don't. Matt Wallace and Jack Wallace, the brothers, so-called brothers. And he apologized. He's extremely frustrated and sometimes stressed, as I've been dealing with a lot of devastating events this past month: the New Orleans incident, the wildfires, the DC plane crash, and now this. It's been a lot. It has been a lot. Sometimes when I came across a post like misinformation or misleading content, I get annoyed and frustrated, feel the urge to call it out. I don't think he did anything wrong in his post, but I understand too, like the drama stuff, getting caught up in all this whatever. But I think a lot of people were tired of those two accounts posting misinformation all the time, and those are monetized accounts, and it's almost like intentional. It's almost intentional. They're always posting it. They got I don't know why people are into this. 2.3 million followers, and the other one has 25K, and he's always posting like just. I should be careful scrolling his page actually, because I don't want to. I don't know if he posted body parts or anything. I should be careful, but a lot of the times it's just like nothing stuff he's posting, and people are just, I don't know. Yeah, Cali engagement farming. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, who knows if he buys likes and whatever. You know, I don't know. But I just yeah, he's always posting some crazy wild shit or something that's like, what do you see? There's nothing there, and people are just, oh my god, I see this, I see that, or whatever. Oh my god, Canadian man gets his private parts stuck to the freezing ground while being detained following a bar fight. During his struggle with security, his pants fell down, fully exposing his privates. The man is lashing out about people making fun of his tiny wiener. Says it was small because it was so cold out. It reminds me of the Seinfeld episode when they talk about shrinkage. And was it George? George goes, I guess he went swimming in the pool and he came back into the house. They were visiting a friend or something. And he goes into the room and he starts changing and his pants are off. And one of the ladies that he's like attracted to comes into the room and she's like, oh my God. And she like looks at him and she starts laughing. And he's like, it's shrinkage, it's shrinkage. Well, this guy, there's a video. I don't think I can't even show this. It's censored, but I can't even show this. I posted it on Twitter. I'm sorry. I'll retweet Twitter. I'll post it on Discord. But they're saying that his thing got stuck to the ground because it was freezing. And then also, I guess once they pulled him up, they were making fun of his thing. This happened in Canada. Somebody posted shrinkage under it, commented shrinkage. Somebody literally commented the George thing. I was in the pool. Bruh. Oh, man. Oh, man. All right. I guess that's it, man. It's been cool hanging out with you guys. Stay safe. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on. I'm going to try to just hang out. But you know, yesterday I said I was going to get off, right? I forgot what time it was. It was like afternoon and I thought I was done. And then we were on like the entire day. You know, it's crazy. And all the information people are sending me, I'll save it for the next live stream. Cabotage definition. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I'm going to save this stuff for later in case we come back live or they do a press conference. I just thought the press conferences really haven't been, so far, really haven't been informative. I'm actually kind of looking forward to the NTSB if they do one on this Philadelphia thing. And I've checked their page. I don't see anything scheduled so far for today. Yeah. Pattern, I've heard of it. I heard of it. I haven't, I have heard of a little bit of what's going on. I don't know fully, but yeah. did see some stuff about. A friend of mine was telling me about it a little bit. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Please subscribe. I'll catch you later. Bye. Bloop, 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 bloop.